The sons of God and the creation of man, and the firstborn in the Old Testament and the Apocrypha. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took them as wives, whichever of them they chose. The sons of God went to the daughters of men and begot children by them. It acquires another meaning from a message from the other side, combined with an incident confined by a friend of the page. And what they write about this topic in brief, that the religious person does not understand what the poet wants to say. According to the book of Genesis, God first created Elohim and then the angels. The Elohim were considered entities superior to the angels, especially the former. The Ancient of Days, as Enoch mentions, was El Shaddai. The issue created of angels having intercourse with the daughters of men, as recorded in the book of Enoch, is due to the mistranslation of the Hebrew word Elohim. The Greek translators rendered it as angels and not as virtuous people, so we find that angels and Elohim are different entities. The angels are incorporeal, while Elohim have a material body. The material body certainly does not necessarily mean flesh. Orders of angels, seraphim, cherubim, thrones, dominions, powers, authorities, principalities, archangels, angels, Elohim, orders, El Nor, El Lin, El Zin, El Nir, El Lan, El Shan, El Tere, El Gan, El Tan. After the creation was completed, he commanded the first Elohim to create man in his image and likeness, but since man would be in the likeness of the Elohim during his evolution, he would be superior to the angels. For this reason, the rebellion of the angels took place, led by Samael, also known as the evil one, the devil. The angels who rebelled were known as fallen angels. Later, the fall of man from the sky happened, the well-known story of Adam and Eve and the apple. The first man is called Adam, both in the Old Testament, mainly in the book of Genesis, and in the New Testament. Adam is the firstborn, the forefather of the human race, according to the teaching and acceptance of contemporary monotheistic religions. The description of his creation, together with that of Eve by Yahweh, is included in two different narratives of the so-called divinely inspired book Genesis, where the second reference is judged today to be earlier than the first. Specifically, these references are found in the first chapters, and the second chapters include the original sin, the fall of the firstborn, and their expulsion from the Garden of Eden under Yahvic curses. The name Adam is one of several Hebrew words denoting the concept of man, and in this sense it's mentioned in the above chapters of Genesis and not a proper name. And the reference as a first name that is observed in the modern Hebrew text of Genesis is due to later phoneticism of the Hebrew text and not to the text itself. The ancient text contained only consonants, but it was established as a proper name by the later Jewish interpretation of the last 10 centuries BC. It's noted that in Hebrew, the word Adam has a derivation meaning soil, recalling the Greek word soil. Adam and Eve were completely free moral agents, provided they obeyed God's command and did not taste of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. However, prompted by the Ancient One, Satan, they disobeyed and were therefore cast out of heaven because of their sinful state. God himself announced heavy curses which would come to Adam, Eve, and by extension to their descendants. Thus, according to the New Testament, by this course of action better known as original sin, Adam spread sin and death to all mankind. The Creator had given Adam what he needed to lead a comfortable and fulfilling life. In fact, Adam's perspective was to live forever in heaven and on earth, as long as he proved obedient to his Maker. He and his wife Eve willfully chose to reject the guidance of the Creator, and the result was to die forever. Eve is a person of the Old Testament where she is mentioned as the first woman and the second man created by God after the proto-created Adam. According to the biblical account, Eve was created on the sixth day of creation from a side of Adam when he was asleep. Together with Adam, she was expelled from Eden, violating God's command not to taste the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Eve appears to be the first to taste the forbidden fruit, prompted by the serpent, and in continuity giving it the fruit to Adam. In Islamic tradition, she is referred to by the name Eve, but she does not appear by name in the Quran, where she is presented as Adam's companion. No detailed information about Eve, creation from Adam is drawn from the Quran, but more details have been incorporated into the sources of Islamic theology, notably the Hadith. Within the Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions, different interpretations have been expressed regarding the account of the creation of Adam and Eve. It's written that while Adam was alone, he was almost happy. The hard truth is that it was hitting, and God did not create another Adam. He created the difference, Eve. The victors perverted themselves into gods and goddesses among men, since their powers and abilities were superhuman. The Nephilim were an antediluvian race referred to in the Bible as giants. They were, as it said, the children born of the daughters of men and the sons of God. It's of great importance to note that they are mentioned almost simultaneously with God's declaration that he would destroy the earth with a flood. And it seemed that their effect on mankind was one of the main causes that brought about the disaster. We read in the book of Genesis, when the people began to increase in number on the earth and give birth to daughters, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful and married those of them they chose. And then the Lord said, "My spirit will not stay with man forever, as he is mortal. His days will be 120. The giants, the Nephilim, were on the earth in those days, as well as after, when the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children with them. They were the giants of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of man had become in the earth, and that every inclination of the thought of his heart was always only wickedness. The Nephilim were a race of giants that arose from the carnal union of the sons of God, possibly fallen angels, with the daughters of men. Translated from the Hebrew text, Nephilim means the fallen ones. They were famous for their strength, their prowess, and as well as their propensity for sin. The origin of the Nephilim begins with a story of fallen angels. Two texts of essential importance in the history of the Nephilim, the Bible and the Dead Sea Scrolls, mention various names for them. Various verses list the species of these giants. They are referred to in many ways as Enim, or terrors, Rephaim, or those who cause fainting, or the dead Gibborim, or giant heroes, Zamzumin, or successful Anakim, or longnecks, Awim, or destroyers and serpents. Other giants are also mentioned in these texts, such as Goliath, the giant with 12 fingers on his hand, 12 on his feet. That's 6 on each hand, 6 toes on each feet, who's mentioned as one of the Rephaim and a tall Egyptian. Genesis referred to the corruption that the Nephilim had brought about among the people and among themselves. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of man had become on earth. Their satanic rebellion had aroused both the wrath and the sorrow of God. So God sent an angel, Gabriel, to ignite a civil war among the Nephilim. He also chose Enoch, a righteous man, to inform the fallen angels of the decision he had made for them and their children. All of the above is a mixture of falsified truth, lies, and distortion. The sons of God continue to hunt the daughters of men to this day. To open gates and enter the physical world must also relate to the gates that Alexander the Great, and not only those who are already in the physical world that he closed, but also others outside the planet, the alleged sons of God. And it has to do with what a friend of the page could find. That's why they scoff at such matters anyway, and they took the trials away from such matters. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.